completely unrealized, but as hinted at earlier his day is about to dawn. Second, they act as transmitters of a particular type of force to those units, who go to the content of any particular center. They are, in fact, the agents for the lords of the rays to the monads of any ray in incarnation in any particular chain and on any particular globe. Third, they are the agents for a. the Lord of the Ray as stated above. B. the four Maharajas. C. the planetary logos of their own scheme. D. the great Deva of the Earth planet. They work with the law. They are the cognizers of the intelligent purpose of the planetary logos, and know his plans. They are the vital activity of the planet, and in a subtle sense they are not only the ray representatives but likewise the link between the chain and the scheme. It might here be stated that the relative failure that was the fate of the moon chain in our scheme has greatly handicapped their work, and made it imperative for them to employ drastic measures in order to offset that failure. Herein lies another clue to the world turmoil. B. the moon chain. It might be of interest here, if, before passing on to other matters, we took up the very difficult subject of the moon chain and answer certain pertinent questions that may have arisen in the minds of students. The enumeration of the chains, and of the schemes as given in the two charts is entirely for the present, and covers a period comparatively recent, carrying forward the history of evolution to the middle of the next round in our chain. Had we been given the charts embracing pre-Lemurian days, and extending back a distance into the, humanly speaking, unfathomable past, we would have seen the moon chain portrayed with the Neptune chain omitted. In the chart as given, two chains are apparently lacking, the moon chain and the Uranus chain. The reasons are abstruse, but something may be hinted at as follows. The moon chain with the earth chain formed two units, or two polarities, negative and positive. The point of merging was reached, and the earth chain absorbed or synthesized the moon chain in the same sense as certain of the schemes will merge until only three will apparently be left. Therefore the earth chain is essentially dual in its nature, being the sum total of a male and a female chain. This is a mystery impossible to elucidate further, but it is dealt with in certain occult books, and hinted at by HPB 14947. In due course of time another merging in the scheme will eventuate, and then Uranus, the chain of that name in our scheme, will flash into objectivity. Forget not that the schemes manifest as 7, as 10, as 3 from the angle of the eternal now, or from the point of view of a heavenly man the manifestation may be written as 3, 7, put a circle around the 3, 7 ed. In time and space the order might be stated to be July 3rd 10, and at certain stages 10-7-3. As the opposites merge the 10 become the 7 and the 3, and it is during this process that entire chains and globes, and eventually schemes, will apparently vanish from objectivity, and drop out of sight. They will be simply absorbed. During the twofold process of evolution, it might be numerically expressed as. During involution the sequence is seen as 3, then 7 and finally 10. During evolution the sequence is 10, then 7 and finally 3. The involutionary process is over practically, and the evolutionary is approximately midway through. This will be marked by the disappearance, or absorption of certain chains as they find their polar opposites, and a simultaneous appearance of the more subtle chains or globes as the monastic principle enables man to see them. The moon chain is in process of disappearance, and only a decaying body is left. The life of the second and the first logos has been withdrawn from it, and only the latent life of matter itself remains. Simultaneously Neptune arose over the horizon, and took its place as one of the 7 manifesting chains of the planetary logos. We are here dealing with the Neptune chain of the Earth scheme. The moon chain has in itself a curious occult history, not yet to be disclosed. This differentiates it from the other chains in the scheme, and even from any other chain in any scheme. An analogous situation, or correspondence, will be found in another planetary scheme within the solar system. All this is hidden in the history of one of the solar systems, which is united to ours within the cosmic ring Pasnot. Hence the impossibility of yet enlarging upon it. Each heavenly man of a scheme is a focal point for the force, and power and vibratory life of 7 stupendous entities in exactly the same sense as the 7 centers in a human being are the focal points for the influence of a corresponding heavenly prototype. Our heavenly man, therefore, is esoterically allied to one of the 7 solar systems, and in this mysterious alliance is hidden the mystery of the moon chain. Certain brief hints may be given for the due consideration of students. The moon chain was a chain wherein a systemic failure was to be seen. It is connected with the lower principles, which HPB has stated are now superseded. The sexual misery of this planet finds its origin in the moon failure. The progress of evolution on the moon was abruptly disturbed and arrested by the timely interference of the solar logos. The secret of the suffering in the earth chain, which makes it merit the name of the sphere of suffering, and the mystery of the long and painful watch kept by the silent watcher, 15,048, has its origin in the events which brought the moon chain to a terrific culmination. Conditions of agony and of distress such as are found on our planet are found in no such degree in any other scheme. The misuse of the vibratory power of a certain center, and the perversion or distortion of force to certain erroneous ends, not along the line of evolution, account for much of the moon mystery. Certain results, such as the finding of its polar opposite, were hastened unduly on the moon chain, and the consequence was an uneven development and a retardation of the evolution of a certain number of deva and human groups. The origin of the feud between the Lords of the Dark Face and the Brotherhood of Light, which found scope for activity in Atlantean days, and during the present root race, can be traced back to the moon chain. We have here all that it is possible to give out at this time, and much that has hitherto not been permitted publication. It is necessary again to emphasize the need of attaching no importance to the names of the chains and globes, and the necessity of a numerical enumeration. At the same time, should the student decide to number the chains and globes, he must carefully bear in mind that the sequence of numbers has no reference or relation to place or time, nor to sequence of appearance or order of manifestation. The future of Minas, it is only intended to handle this immense subject primarily in its relation to man, leaving the student to work out for himself much of what might be said, and to expand the concept from the unit to the group, and from the group to the totality of groups within the solar system. We will only touch upon the development of the mind in man, and hint at some probable developments. We shall endeavor to show that Minas, as it evolves, leads to certain distinct characteristics, which distinguish it from other developments which may be seen. The subject therefore will be discussed under the following subheadings. 1. The characteristics of Minas. 2. Probable developments of the human mind. 3. Minas in the final rounds. In studying all these points, the emphasis is, of course, to be laid upon the future, and I enlarge not upon that which is already developed. 1. Characteristics of Minas. The main characteristics of Minas might be summed up under 3 heads. A. Discrimination. B. Ordered activity. C. Adaptability. Let us study these a little and note when in days and cycles to come they will be seen working out. A. Discrimination. This is necessarily almost the statement of a platitude. All students recognize the discriminative quality of Minas, and its selective capacity. All recognize the faculty in man, which enables him to distinguish intelligently between the self and the not-self. What we are apt to forget is that this faculty persists on all planes, and is threefold in manifestation. First, discrimination between the I consciousness, and that which is cognized in the external world. This is the ability to distinguish between oneself and all other forms extant. It is universally developed, and has reached a fairly high stage of evolution. Second, discrimination between the ego and the personality. This narrows the concept down to the sphere of a man's own consciousness, and enables him to differentiate between his subjective self, or soul, and the bodies which hold that soul enshrined. This is not by any means so universally developed. Most men do not as yet distinguish with accuracy between themselves as the thinker, persistent in time and space, and the vehicle through which they think, which is ephemeral and transient. The real recognition of this essential duality, and the scientific appreciation of it is to be seen in the mystics, the advanced thinkers of the race, the conscious aspirants, and those nearing the portal of initiation. Third, discrimination between soul and spirit, or the realization by the man that not only can he say, I am. Not only can he realize that, I am that. But that he can advance to a still further realization, and say, I am that I am. In all these expansions, and appreciations the discriminative faculty of menace, is utilized. Therefore, we can see for ourselves the future development, and whereto it will lead mankind. Man now knows himself as a separated unit of consciousness. He now distinguishes between himself and all other materialized selves. He now realizes himself as distinct from every other, functioning sphere of matter, from the materialized logos to the cell in his own physical body, and the cell in all bodies on the physical plane. This separative instinct, this distinguishing self-centeredness has been the nursery wherein the infant, man, has segregated himself until he is of full strength, and able to take his share in the work of his group. Only the voluntary merging of interest and of aim is of value, and only that is seen in man as he nears the final part of the path of evolution. It is incident upon an earlier stage of intense self-assertion, and intense self-realization. This stage is with us now. It marks all manifestation, and is the basis of the preservation of identity. It distinguishes the logos and all forms within his body, the planetary logoi, and all forms within their bodies, man and all forms within his body. That which must be emphasized is the little realized concept that this assertion of I am distinguishes not only man, but is the mantric word which preserves the integrity of all groups likewise. When man can say, I am that, he is beginning to sense his oneness with his group. When groups make a similar assertion, they are beginning to realize their identity with all other groups. When the planetary logos echoes the words, I am that, he is approaching the hour of synthesis, or of absorption. When the solar logos utters the words, a year of Brahma will be drawing to a close, and the hour of conscious merging with his greater group will be approaching. Broadly, in relation to man, it might be stated that I am